Welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clemenson, and if you're a recruiter out on your own or just lacking general guidance or mentorship, then you've come to the right place. Our episodes are designed to give you the motivation, the advice, and the strategies you need to become the very best recruiter. So join us, grab a cup of coffee, and let's take your desk to another level. Now, this is almost a continuation on from last week's episode about planning your quarter. And this one is about visualization. We've all heard of visualization, but I want to give you a really interesting story that happened to me when I was younger. And it was just one of those moments in my life where I went, holy crap, like if you visualize it, it can manifest into reality. And I'm not talking like this wishy-washy stuff that you hear from voodoo guru people or these, energy people or whatever that might be. There's a place for that and whatever, not. But no, this one's really quite interesting. I when I was younger, I was in a band. I love music. I still do. Not playing anymore as much, but, guitar, piano, sing, what else? Bit of piano, bit of drums, and I love it, right? So naturally, I had someone say to me, hey, why don't you go and get a couple of singing lessons? This guy I know is fantastic. And I went, why not? It can't hurt. He worked at Macquarie University as a singing teacher, so he was very good. I only ended up having 2 lessons. He lived too bloody far away from my house. But he was such an interesting guy, right? So he's big Aussie guy. He was a bit older, didn't know a lick of Italian, and but he used to sing in these operas, and he used to say to me, look, there are ways to prepare your voice for singing. He said, but I have a really unique way of doing it because I'm doing a lot of these operas and if you haven't seen an opera, it's always in Italian or European language. Predominantly Italian is the language that opera is sung in a lot of the time. And so he would have to go and do these full shows, and they'd go, here's the music, it's on in a month. And he's like, okay, cool. And because he didn't speak Italian, he had to come up with different ways to learn the music, right? And so he would sit down. He said, my ritual was I would sit down, I would crack a bottle of red, and I would listen to this music for a couple of hours at night. He'd just listen, and he'd listen. And then the second night, he'd crack a bottle of red, he'd sit down, and he'd listen, and he'd listen. And then the third night, he said he would not crack a bottle of red, but he would sit down and listen, and he would have the music in front of him with the words, but he would just read it along with the tune. So, let's say it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He's 3 nights now where he's just listen. Now he's actively listening by reading the music, and he's really rehearsing. To this point, 3 days in a row of this, he hasn't sung a note, right? He's learning how to sing an opera, and 3 days into rehearsals, he hasn't sung a note, which was super interesting. And he just said, and I said, when do you start singing? He said, when I'm confident I know it. I was like, what do you mean? Don't you have to practice the notes and read? And he goes, no, like I'm very good at singing. I don't need to do that. So he would spend probably 3 to 5 days just listening, absorbing, and then visualizing. And he said on those last couple of days, you then start to sort of think about them in your head without the music. You start picturing yourself singing it without the music. And then he said on those that sort of like 5th day, you'll be listening to the music and you'll be picturing yourself with your eyes closed, singing those songs and hitting those notes. And when you are anticipating a note, you can sing along with it in your head. He's like, that's when I play the music and I sing. And he says, without sounding cocky, I'm 99.9% accurate when I open my mouth. And for me, it was this huge eye-opener because I wasn't young. I was like 19 or 18. And so, it was quite a new concept to me at the time. YouTube and socials weren't what they were 20 years ago. So you didn't have a lot of this information coming to you. And anyway, it was just such a fascinating thing to say, visualizing his singing before he even opened his mouth was really, really fascinating to me. And for me, it's recruitment's no different, right? Too often we just meander through life. We meander through our desk. We meander through our day, and we're not really critically thinking or having any sort of idea of where we're headed or what we're trying to achieve. We just do our job, clock in, clock out. Well, don't. You're wasting your life. Don't do it. Last week, we did an amazing session on this podcast. You can go back and it's about how to, what was it? My 5-point plan for planning out your quarter. And it started with, well, what are you chasing? And so I think if in today's episode, what you get out of this is, let's visualize it, okay? So what are you chasing this quarter? What is the number? Just picture it right now. What is that number? I'm not going to say a number because it's your number. What is the number? What dollar value are you chasing this month or this quarter? Sorry. What is the dollar value? Simple. Let's visualize it. What is that number? Let me just pick up the second one. How many placements do you need to make this quarter? What is the number? Do you remember? You might want to go back, press pause. Go and get that number, come back. So first of all, what are you chasing this quarter? Second of all, visualize it. What are you chasing in terms of placements? How many do you need? How many do you need? Just feel it. What's the number? Write it down. You know, what activities do you need to do? Visualize those. But honestly, the first two are the most important ones. What do you need to chase? What are you chasing dollar-wise this quarter? And how many placements do you need to chase? That's it. I want that number etched into your brain. Think about it. If you meditate on that every morning, just those two numbers, how much I'm chasing this quarter, how many placements I need to make. What I'm chasing this quarter, how many placements I need to make every morning. If you do that every morning for a month, oh my God, that is going to be etched into your brain. And just like my singing teacher, if you etch something into your brain enough, when it comes to opening your mouth to sing a note and you pitch perfect, or doing your recruitment activities and you nail what you set out to achieve, it's no coincidence. When your brain can see it, it can feel it, it's right there in the forefront of your mind, all your activities flow into achieving that because it just feels like it's already in reality, right? So what you visualize, you can create, okay? And if you can visualize what you want, if you know what you want, your target, what you're chasing, you can visualize that number and just see it right there. And I don't want this to sound wishy-washy. It literally is as simple as this. What are you chasing? Remind yourself of that. Morning, noon, night. What is that number? Write it on a piece of paper. Put it on your desk there. Actively meditate on it every day. And watch how the activities on your desk, the energy and the motivation you feel to get up, to pick up the phone, to reach out, to do the work you need to do to hit that figure, just watch it all come into place. And I didn't even write this down, but how amazing it is. Watch it all come together like an amazing opera for recruitment, okay? That's all I have time for you today. If you liked anything that we had to say, I'd love you to share it, subscribe, follow us on LinkedIn. We want to get this out to a wider audience. We love bringing this to you. Again, got these wonderful hats. I'm loving it, the swag. If you're a recruiter and you're interested in being interviewed on this podcast, please hit us up. Shoot me a message, brett@thelonerecruiter.com. Love to have you on board. I'll give you one of these free hats. I hope you have an amazing day. And as always, may all your deals come true.